I think that, everybody's on a different journey and you've got different life goals, different things that'll happen to you, different ups and downs. Um, but within all of those people, you have the ability to be strong, not only physically, whatever you do in the gym, but mentally, psychologically, emotionally as well. And I think it's all about balance in life. If you, like we were talking about earlier, if you are overtraining a certain part of your body, there's going to be compensation somewhere else. And that's the same thing with all aspects of life. You have to have balance in your physical, emotional, and psychological.
It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
The Health in the Real World podcast is sponsored by most exercises and workouts, whether they be running, biking, elliptical, rowing machine, traditional weightlifting, or even CrossFit, do not give you a balanced workout. And when you do workouts that neglect even one area, you're out of balance, resulting in pain and injury as well. Achieve your goals with the fitness program your chiropractor would love. Visit chrisjanke.com/pod to watch the free video. Hello and welcome to Health in the Real World. I'm Chris Janke and I'm here today with Griffin Maloon. Griffin, how's it going today?
I'm doing well, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
Good, absolutely. You're welcome. Thanks for joining me. And give everyone a quick introduction as far as who you are and what kind of training you do.
Yeah, so I've been working as a trainer for over 7 years. Started out in San Luis Obispo, California, where I did my undergrad degree at Cal Poly, and then continued on to San Francisco to do a master's in kinesiology at San Francisco State. And then for the past about 4 years now, I've been working at JK Fitness. It's in the Mission District in San Francisco, working as the head personal trainer and fitness manager. And currently, though, I'm traveling around Europe, and within the past couple of years, transitioned a lot of clientele from an in-person training regimen to an online platform. So a lot of the business that I'm conducting now is just through like what we're doing right now. It's through a Zoom session where we're training for an hour-long period.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's like I was telling you before, that's my whole business model now too. For the last 2 years, it's been all online. People don't even want to go back. Most of my clients don't. They're like, I like training online. It's not, So yeah, are you California native? I grew up in San Jose, so right in between.
Yeah, I grew up. I was born and raised in Ojai, California.
South a little bit.
Yeah. So lived in California my whole life up until a few months ago, and with the ability to kind of work from anywhere with this online platform, I decided I want to experience other parts of the world. So that's what kind of led me on this journey.
That's awesome. So so undergrad Cal Poly, and then you came up to San Francisco for graduate school. What sort of led you into knowing that that's what you wanted to do, like fitness, health, wellness? What led you down that path in the first place?
Sure. So growing up, I was always into sports, played soccer, basketball, and football pretty regularly from a young age up through high school. And I'd always just been like kind of fascinated with sport and exercise. So when I went into college, I actually thought I would be a sports journalist. So I thought it would be fun to cover sports, go to games, see the excitement. After about a semester there, I realized I wasn't a great writer. So I had to transition to something else, and I found myself in the kinesiology department. Just as I felt it was a kind of natural progression for me. I've always been kind of fascinated by the physiology and the science behind exercise and wellness. So that was something that kind of like I took with and ran, and started with exercise physiology. And after my undergrad, I felt that, like, for me to stand out and to continue my education process, I wanted to achieve my master's degree as well, and do that in a market, in a place where I could see myself long term, or where a place where they valued wellness, and a place like San Francisco I found to be that as well.
Yeah, definitely. That San Francisco, San Jose, Silicon Valley, LA.
Yeah.
Those are, and I would say definitely all over California tends to be very health and wellness minded. I would say in general, maybe not always, but in general, more than the rest of the country.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's an emphasis on that, and you can tell just the way, you go out on a weekend in Golden Gate Park or something, you see people running around, working out, just enjoying being out in that natural environment too, which I think is important, especially from the past 2 years during the pandemic, when we were cooped up inside. We realized how important it is to get that sunlight, that vitamin D, and have regular exercise in that setting. I think it's good for the psyche as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then that, like you said, it was a natural progression. You grew up playing sports. That's almost
Mm-hmm.
like your pre-curriculum. You
Mm-hmm.
your kinesiology. You're already kind of in touch with the body. I noticed this maybe a couple of years ago. I've been a trainer for about 17, 18 years, and same thing. I played soccer since I was 5, baseball since I was 6 or 7, basketball, football. But I sort of took for granted my sort of kinesthetic awareness of my own body, and was hanging out with other people who were also athletes, and sort of like didn't realize that there are huge groups of people who have a very hard time with just that body awareness, and just getting through like high school, even playing sports, you're already like primed to be a trainer, right? It's like you already kind of have that awareness, and then you got a bachelor's and a master's, and you took it to that next level. So that's a pretty awesome thing. Do you train a lot of athletes? Because I know you mentioned you wanted to be like a sports journalist. Do you train a lot of athletes, or more just kind of like weekend warrior types? Or
Well, mostly just kind of weekend warriors, everyday people. A lot of individuals that I'm training to are coming off of injuries, or have movement dysfunction, chronic pain that they're dealing with, and they're looking for an outlet to be able to fix that. So not necessarily a ton of, I worked with some athletes before, but for the most part, I would say a good percentage of the clients, maybe they had some sort of surgery, and they've gone through the PT, and now it's that next phase, right, where the PT will hand them off to like a personal trainer so they can kind of get back functional movement. And that's really important to me in terms of my programming for my clients, is mobility work, functional training, and also making it specific in order to like facilitate enjoyment, right? If this person enjoys rock climbing, we want to tailor some of those exercises that will translate better to what they enjoy doing, right? Because at the end of the day, when we're training, we're training for something. It's not just kind of like running our head into the wall a million times.
right.
I feel like that is the way that you get more enjoyment out of it, and then you get these clients to come back and stay with you for years and years and years.
Right. Well, and you definitely have to know what you're doing too. And you were talking about, you take them from an injury, which is a very delicate place to be. They go through their physical therapy, which, depending on how much they have in their insurance, and honestly, that whole system and everything, they may or may not have had enough to actually rehab completely. And then for you to take them from that sort of semi-vulnerable state and ramp them up slowly without injuring them again. And then also, like you said, you're sprinkling in a little bit of enjoyment. Like, what is it that these people actually enjoy doing? You know, there's a million and one different ways to work out. Let's find the like 3 or 4 that you enjoy and let's do it. So I think that's great. What do you tell, like, let's go to, say, a beginner workout person, you know, they've never worked out before, or maybe they used to work out, they kind of let themselves go a little bit and they learn that you're a trainer and they start picking your brain at a party about everything,
Yeah.
right? What are some questions that you ask them? Like, how do you identify, maybe they want like 1 or 2 pieces of information. Like, what do I do? Like, I want to get started. Like, how do I do this? How do you
Right.
figure out what's your sequence of questioning for that person to figure out what they need?
Sure. First off, I just want to ask them, what they have in mind, like what kind of goals that they have in mind. Anything like specific doesn't have to be like, hard numbers in terms of I want to lose X amount of weight in this many days, or, maybe something that's more intrinsic to them where, they want to be able to lift their kid up. Maybe they're, in their late 50s or something like that, and they have low back pain or something, but they enjoy playing around with their young kids. Taking something like that and seeing what they value in life, that way that I can make, my pitch to them be something that's meaningful. And, maybe from the outside looking at it like that, it doesn't seem like, oh, exercise. I like to facilitate kind of like a meaningful relationship off the bat, or after a few kind of like initial sessions, and see kind of what they do activity wise. Then I can get a gauge in terms of like, what kind of fitness level that they're at, where their cardiovascular fitness is at, their anaerobic strength, things like that. And then match that up to kind of like, again, going back to like having that overarching goal that they want to achieve, having something that they can work towards, and then kind of working like reverse engineering and making smaller, maybe like daily, weekly goals that we can hit to give them some confidence and just start that momentum of that fitness journey going, because it can be an uphill battle. I know for a lot of clients, especially if they're coming from a position where they're very deconditioned or they've had, multiple injuries, it takes a while to ramp up, and it can take a while to see any sort of change in their body. But if we can kind of take those weekly victories or daily victories and build them up, and then you show that to them, I've just had a lot of great results of people, gaining that confidence, and then that, makes them want to train harder or train more, right? So it just kind of like a snowball effect in terms of building them up and making sure that we're doing that in a progressive manner, so that they can reach those goals.
Right. You're taking those small victories along the way, right? How do you eat an elephant, as they say? And I think that's great, because you're instilling confidence in them that the process is working, because we all know that it takes months, if not sometimes years, to achieve the health goal, specifically fitness, depending on how high you want to climb. And somebody who's feeling discouraged is not going to last that long, right? So that's good. You're kind of building them up in that way. That's really good. Have you in your personal life, have you ever kind of let yourself go a little bit and had sort of like a rock bottom experience at all, or have anything like that, back up against the wall? How did you get out
I
of that?
mean, I think that another thing that got me into the fitness world is, when I was younger, I was very overweight, probably from ages like 7 to about right when I got to high school. I was always like the fat kid, and that was something that like uh, had an effect on me in terms of like, making friends or just feeling down about myself. Um, and then as I started to kind of like grow into my body and like play, continue to play sports, and play high school football, I started to lose weight, and then I actually started to like work out consistently. And then I saw my body change, and I saw the effect, not only just like physically, but just like mentally it had on me. It was tremendous. So I wanted to continue that feeling, right? It's kind of like almost addicting, right? Where you see kind of the changes and the confidence that starts to build. And what was even more rewarding, I think, is being able to transfer any knowledge that I have and give that feeling to somebody else. Because if you can make a connection with somebody and help them kind of achieve something that they didn't think they could do, or something that they wanted for so long, that is more valuable than just going the journey alone. So I think kind of starting off with that mindset and feeling that way when I was younger, I think set the stage for my fitness career.
Yeah, yeah. It's really fascinating to me because I've heard a lot of other people talk about this too, about like what they were going through in that sort of like preteen or early teen
Yeah.
time, like 10. Like for me, it was when I was 14. I was warming up for basketball practice. I was in eighth grade. I think I was 14, maybe I was 13. It was eighth grade. I know that. And I was stretching. I was probably
Mhm.
bouncing, but I was like standing and bending forward, trying to touch my toes, and then probably kind of bouncing. But I remember going from that stretch position to about to stand up. And I swear, I thought somebody was behind me and hit me with a baseball bat. It hurt so bad in my lower back. And I just like seized up. I winced. My coach was there. He saw me. He was kind of a smart ass. He's like, oh, it's never going to be the same again. And he just walked away. And I'm like, how does that help me? Like, I didn't know what to do. And so from then for like the next 10 years, I had always this like low level pain. And then occasionally I would have flare ups and it would just shoot to like a 10 out of
Mhm.
10. And, chiropractic, massage, I tried all kinds of stuff and nothing really worked, for the main reason that I was doing workouts that were imbalanced and they were creating more pain.
Right.
And when I finally got that in check, and in my early 20s, I sort of started doing balancing workouts and got out of pain. And that's, at 41 now, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I've been through the ringer with all that crappy
Yeah.
pain. So I can definitely attest to that.
And I've been through, series of injuries myself, from sports, from training, from knee to ankle injuries, to shoulder, neck. And I've gone through like the medical system, like the PT, where you get your primary to diagnose you, then they hand you off to the PT.
Right.
And I've had mixed results with that, and talking to a lot of people as well, they've had mixed results as well. So I think what I've turned to is searching for knowledge myself,
Yeah.
and looking through different avenues, like different trainers, different fitness personalities on YouTube, looking through peer-reviewed articles just on different functions of the body and how to recover from injury. Because I think, I don't want to say the medical system has failed a lot of people, but it hasn't held up their end of the bargain, I feel like, for a lot of these chronic injuries. Because I don't know about you in your practice, but I see a ton of like chronic injuries, especially shoulders and neck, hips and knees, and these people have been paying tons of money to do PT for months and months and months, and with no resolution.
Yeah.
So I think there's becoming a shift too, where these people as well are kind of turning to us to look for solutions. So I feel it kind of upon myself to try to get more in depth in that world, in the rehabilitation, to kind of help individuals.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's the Western medical system. I used to bash it like crazy, but I really have nothing bad to say about it. It serves its purpose for what it's good for, right? Like if I,
Mhm.
if I get in a fight and somebody cuts my arm off, and it's just dangling there, like there's no I'm not going to sprinkle herbs on it. I'm not going to try to do
Right.
exercises. I'll go to the hospital and see if they can sew it back together. And that's not, they're not only good for the extremes, but,
Yeah.
in my case, like, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, year old kid, uh, I was in pain. I didn't have an Advil deficiency. I
Hmm.
didn't need painkillers. Like, obviously that could kind of mask it and make me feel better. But the reason the pain was coming, it was a signal. It was telling me like, hey, you're not moving properly. You're overdeveloped here. You're too tight here. You're underdeveloped there. And once I fixed that, it went away. Not, it was pretty easy. Not saying
Hmm.
everything is an easy fix, but
Yeah.
they're very symptoms driven, right? And
Right.
I think sometimes just being in that system, the medical system, like, even if you want to sort of pull back and see the holistic picture of a person, uh, it's just the way the system's set up. I don't know if they even really let you.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I know a lot of very good physical therapists, but they're kind of handcuffed as far as how they treat people. If you come in for a shoulder injury and they know that it's somehow
Hmm.
related, at least partially, to your ankle,
Yeah.
they can't really touch your ankle because you came in for shoulder pain. So,
Right.
it's unfortunate. It's a little short-sighted. I understand why
Yeah.
they do it. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people that they have to treat, but um, absolutely, you and I can fill that gap in a way.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think, I mean, yeah, there's, as well know a lot of great, PTs, and I think as a whole, it's a incredible profession, and there's a lot of smart people out there. I think, like you were saying, that they're hamstrung by the way the system is, but you know, are we going to radically change the system because of this? Probably not. But I think just having more of a, or like an open dialogue and like a synergistic relationship. That's why, like with a PT and personal trainer, like that's what I love when some of my clients, will come in and they see like a chiropractor or a physical therapist, and they'll bring in, their notes in terms of like what the PT was doing with them or what they saw, or like even sometimes a little MRI, like a image of that, um, and their notes on that. So that working together, that relationship, I think can facilitate results a lot better than just having, one or the other.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then ultimately each individual has to sort of take it upon themselves to be personally
Hmm.
responsible to the extent that they can.
Yeah.
And that synergy extends to that, the client, right? So there's the PT, the chiropractor, and then the actual client who's sort of like becoming their best doctor, so to speak. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Griffin, I want to give you a chance to give a sort of like a big picture perspective. I really like asking this question to end each episode. Let's say you were called into a university to give like the commencement address or like a
Hmm.
keynote speech at a corporation, and so you're the motivational speaker that comes in. What's your 1 to 2 minute motivational speech that you would give to help people get the most out of their lives?
Sure. I think that, everybody's on a different journey, and you've got different life goals, different things that'll happen to you, different ups and downs. Um, but within all of those people, you have the ability to be strong, not only physically, whatever you do in the gym, but mentally, psychologically, emotionally as well. And I think it's all about balance in life. If you, like we were talking about earlier, if you, are overtraining a certain part of your body, there's going to be compensation somewhere else. And that's the same thing with all aspects of life. You have to have balance in your physical, emotional, and psychological. So I think that, you know, if we start with something like physical activity, exercise, that can help propel a better well-being, help you feel better, then maybe you'll have more clarity, your relationships in terms of how you operate with your loved ones will be better, and everything in your life will improve. I've seen it happen multiple times over. So we can just take that first step. And I think it's crucial as we head out of this pandemic that health and wellness should be of the utmost importance and should be at the top of the list in terms of what we prioritize, not only as a nation, but globally as well. So I think that prioritizing that will help keep everything in balance and kind of help for better communication throughout the world and make everybody a little bit happier as well.
100%. Very well said. Well, Griffin, how do people get in touch with you? What's your website, social media, any
Sure.
information about the gym that you're working with?
Yeah, so the website is jkfitnessstudio.com. And then you can find me on Instagram at griffin.m.fitness. My DMs are always open if you want to ask questions or want to schedule sessions online. I'm open for booking as well.
Nice. Sounds good. Well, again, Griffin Maloon here, Health in the Real World, in Barcelona by way of California. How's your
Yeah, man.
How's your Spanish, by the way?
Muy bien.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Well, Griffin, thank you so much for joining me today on Health in the Real World. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.